to do it last night.
Awesome.
Awesome. Recording has started. And I'm going to share. Oh, look at that. When it's shared, you get a way better view. Okay, so I'm going to share that. Please let me know when you can see. Oh, well, it did. It should have just done an application window, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so you're looking at the outline.
Yes.
Good, good, good. Okay, so awesome. Thank you so much for coming. This week, I'm so looking forward to this week. Oh my God, I have been doing 4 for 2 weeks, and that was too much. It was like, no, it was. I could have done just the week. Thank you very much. And I thought, oh, what's another week? Just keep casting the 4. Keep casting the 4. And though I will say that it really helped with my physical healing, with wound, like my actual physical wound, like the healing like accelerated and sped up. But I have sigil 4. I feel like I'm constipated. I'm like, I cannot cast that sigil anymore. It's like you've had too much banana bread, right? And you're like, oh, I'm bound up. But it kind of feels like that with 4. I'm ready to move on.
4 definitely does that. I actually I'm one of those weird people that enjoy casting 5 more than I enjoy casting 4.
Yeah, because it gets all the garbage out of the way. Yeah,
she
keeps getting sick, poor honey. So we'll move on. You'll come back to 5 next round.
There you go.
I might skip 5 again.
You can't skip 5 though. It's very important.
Oh, it really removing the obstacles and understanding your adversary is really, really important. It just is, because right after that, you're going to look at who your allies are and what brings you stability. And it's always best to do the inventory of the bad before you commit to the good. Always.
I started casting 4 a few days ago just because I was ahead. So I decided to kind of just start casting 4. And I had this weird experience. Like 4 never works out well for me. 5 and I are very good friends, but 4 and I are not very good friends. And I had this experience where I thought everybody was mad at me. Like everyone. Like I thought Shentat was mad at me and Jackie was mad at me and everybody was mad at me and they all hated me. And I had to sit there and be like, you didn't do anything. They have no reason to be mad at you.
Honey. It brought out all the it became mental for you. How interesting. Wow.
Honey, you should know me by now. If I'm mad, I'll let you know.
Most people say that to me, and I didn't do anything wrong.
No, it's totally true. It's totally true. And chances are, if I'm mad at you, and this is real, and I tell this to like intimate friends, acquaintances, people that I work with in craft, all of it. You can get me mad, and it's not going to break the relationship, and I'll be mad for like that long, and because it's not, ultimately it winds up not amazingly useful in a relationship.
Do you think maybe it had an effect because of the retrograde happening also?
Oh, well, there is a bunch going on.
There's a huge retrograde, happening right now, which could have been part of it. Yeah. I've also never gotten along with the number 4.
4,
everybody always talks about how stable it is, how beautiful and grounding it is. And for some reason, my brain doesn't like grounding.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's right. Maeve really resisted grounding and root chakra work too. And so does our friend Bryn. They like being up here in these like upper spheres. They don't want to be down. They don't want to be down in the muck. No, man, no earth, no. And so they avoid that work too. And 4 is very much that. It's very much like a tourmaline.
Yep.
Kablam. Here you go. Yeah, that's right. Yep. So cool. We should be ready to start getting really nuclear. And that's the theme of the week. So Try and kind of put that in your hat. What does it mean? And I mean nuclear, not in the sense of the periodic table of elements. I mean in the term of sociology, where nucleus were used to refer to parent, parent, child, or parent, child, or the smallest possible unit, social unit, the smallest possible, right? So dad, kid, older kid, younger kid, mom, kid, parents and kid, if that exists, or intimate partners and kids, etc. The smallest possible unit, the nuclear unit. And from a numerological standpoint, that's 3. There will always and forever be, because each one of us came from this, a collective unconscious image of the male component, the female component, and us as the child, period. There will always be that image, mom, dad, me, always, forever emblazoned, whether we ascribe value to it or not. It is inscribed in the human subconscious, because it's a biologic fact. When that fact begins shifting with what we can do with the manipulation of biology, that might alter. But for right now, 3 is that nuclear unit. Now, how you use the dynamics of any nuclear unit is really up to you. When you get old enough to take on lovers, the nuclear unit becomes very, very different. And it includes a much broader tool set when it comes to possibilities for emotion, exploration, self-gnosis, and knowing of others. The physicality comes into play in an adult sense with sexuality, which triggers, of course, all of our insecurities. And we wind up bumping up again and again and again into our nuclear units. What are the proper roles here? Who's being mom? Who's being feminine? Who's being masculine? Who's being aggressive? Who's being passive? Who's being quiescent? And who's being dominant? All of these dynamics, and always the smallest possible dynamics, are all wrapped up in the energy of 3. So you can use it to create tension. You can use it just like, a kid pitting mom against dad in any scenario, which happens to every kid and every set of parents, no matter who they are, mom and mom, dad and dad, mom and dad, other and other. Like, if there's a kid involved between the two of them at one point or another, that kid is going to pit one against the other, period. So please don't think of this like there's any one way that a nuclear social arrangement can't be, that there are multiple lenses. This isn't just an intimate partner of mom, dad, baby. This can be any number of configurations of the smallest possible social unit, right? So my brother, my sister, and I, we had our own trio, mama, and it was complicated. Tammy was the authoritarian bitch, and whatever she said went, and that was that. And if you went against your sister, she would beat the living crap out of you. And Adam was a sneaky, lying asshole that you knew would narc on you in a heartbeat if it got him something good in the end. And me, I was born with a guilt bone, so no matter what happened, I was going to be the guilty one or get caught, always. And I was blind as a bat, and for some reason, all the old people, everyone who was adult or older than us, would look down on me in pity, which always was to my advantage, because I got to stay up later and eat more things. Ha 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 ha. You little older fuckheads. And I was the baby, right? So of course, I was the princess. It was all about me. And I would play, I would be like, I don't like what Tammy's doing. I'm going to go tell my brother. My brother's going to go tell her off. And then she's going to beat the shit out of him. And then I'm going to go to my parents and tell them both of them were fighting. because I'm sick of them. And I want the living room to myself because at 9 o'clock, Speed Racer comes on. So getting in, when we get nuclear, right, we get to the insights that are only possible about the limitations of self by bumping and rubbing intimately and closely against an other. And there always is, in a nuclear system, some mitigating factor, a third person or a third element. Okay. So for the exercise, what I really wanted to do was play on this super groovy grimoire where the author, and I'll show it to you in a minute, and it's in the recommended reading for this week, is where what he did in his magical system, he always has self, the magus or witch. He always has the beloved, the object of my desire and manifestation. The thing I want, but I don't have. And the third element. In his case, it was the muse. So you had the muse on one side singing in your ear about how awesome your life will be if you can get that thing, the beloved, and create a union with it. So he called it muse, adversary, hero, mom, dad, baby, self, and lover, beloved, or other. Almost always, this working was to gain personal insight. So really, what are the parts of me that need alteration, burnishing, softening? This is the point where we discover, wow, Ward, you were really hard on the beaver last night, which is an awesome joke, and kind of possibly almost every one of the episodes of Leave It to Beaver, if you ever bother to watch that. Because really, Dad Cleaver was over excessive and zealous, and Mom Cleaver was typical mom, and she was just want to love you into correct behavior. And the two boys were just nasty little shits running around completely unsupervised, doing dumb shit. Privileged, entitled, white little fuckheads. Yeah, them. Yeah, let them loose on a country club, episode 47, right? And Ward, by the end, is going to be super hard on the beaver. And hopefully some Ward at some point is super hard on this beaver. Just saying. Anyways. Yeah, you see, you gotta smile. Come on. Geez, that's a viewer about this. Anyways, so gaining personal insight is really the work of three. You can use as a meditational device this fractal built on a basis of three, and the mathematics of it is what's called it's not a Mandelbrot. It's a Lees Bohm, B-O umlaut H-M is the format. And I wanted that specifically because this demarcates the line. Everything black is a known or understood quantity. Everything that's inside the structure is a known or understood quantity. The entire physical structure itself is what's called the product of a strange attractor. And the strange attractor is on a base number of 3. So this is like mathematical noise that only makes sense because it creates a physical pattern. Oh my God. It also is an infinite line, but it's more than infinite. It is an infinity of infinities. And if you were able to see this structure in its nth dimensional format, it would be a single line, a one-dimensional entity that takes up three-dimensional space.
Wow, that is so cool.
Mama.
Wow.
Yeah, for a while I played around with like fractal creation, and it was a lot of fun. That was when I was studying like science of mind and how the intersectionality between like the hard mathematical and chemical scientists of thought and cognition, and the sort of linguistic softer that intersecting line, right? Where everyone just wants to pull all these other knowledge domains in and say, no, that's like a fractal. No, it really is not. It's a numeric reduction. But, right? And when you're a hard scientist, you could say, no, it has nothing to do with it. It's entirely separate. But from sort of a philosophic framework, there was a whole period where everyone just wanted to glob all these different knowledge domains onto each other and say that they were all equivalent and had the same messaging. Well, this is a good message. It's a good message of three. And I used it personally in this. So someone asked a couple of weeks ago or last week, I can't remember which, how much of this is related to the Kabbalah and deeper dive into Kabbalistic sort of lens for magical work in my teaching and practice. All of it, Mama, all of it, all of it. I am coming at this class 100% from the perspective that this node on the tree of life, which is called Bina, B-I-N-A, if you want to look it up, also called the mother, the great and ultimate accountant of all things seen and unseen, the originary source of physical creation, Bina, right? Before her is the duality, and before that is the unity of all things. So this is the first self-reflecting, self-aware moment in the self-creation of the divine, the moment where she stares into the black bowl of space and falls in love with her own image and makes love to it, so that she bears forth the whole universe, which is the rest of the manifest tree of life, right? So this first node, Bina, in the tree of light, associated with brown and black, is really the scintillating blackness of black-hearted innocence. What I mean by black-hearted means it contains all color. There is no moral code. So children, wild animals, pre-social, right? Getting nuclear. You don't need language to have a family, Mama. Nobody does. Okay. And that is this moment on the tree of life. If you want to see what that looks like in a reflection of some touchstones, I give that to you in a document in the folders called TOL, Tree of Life Rectified.pdf. And this, which is my creation. So please, 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 if you use this or share this outside of this class, please give provenance to the author and say Shentat actually created this work from his own work within the tree of life. This is his. I'm sharing it with you, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Now, on the very top is really the first page is looking at the roads that connect the different nodes or houses or sephirots or sephiroths of the tree of life, right? giving you some keywords. Planetary correspondences are in this. Things like primordial or first motion, nothingness, eternal expanse. Others, you're getting also the Hebrew word and its transliteration, such as node 13. We see it right here as the road that connects Kether, the Godhead or unitary consciousness, with Tiferet, or individual self-coordinating behaviors of 6. We worked with 6 a couple ago, right? Well, there it is. And this is the road that connects those two. It's a direct road. And the Jewish word that describes that road is camel. Camel is the same camel that's represented in the Thoth deck in the Empress card on the bottom of the card, where you see the camel and all of these other encrusted, beautiful things like palm trees and coconuts and jewels and gems from the bottom of the earth, because of course, this is the third Atu, or third trump of the Arpa Arcana. That's where he puts the third trump, is on the road 13. What he's describing is this mental state of being in a transition directly from a state of 6 to a state of unitary consciousness. And what does that look like? Well, it looks like the Empress card. It has lower vibrations in all of these particular cards, any card where 13 is involved, which, depending on the deck of cards, would either be your king or your priestess, princess, however they do it, right? And various card systems do it different. The second page, you're getting more. You're getting, now you're going to get your astrological correspondences. You're going to get your tarot trump correspondences. You're going to get some entities and their positioning there, including Ament, Malkunofat, her, which is God herself or goddess herself. You get weapons and tools of the craft. You may get, so it gets a little deeper and a little deeper in page 2. In page 3, then you get into the entire system that I use from Liber 76 and Liber Vel Legis 0, which are works that I wrote. If you want the works, I can give you copies of them. They are a magical system and grimoire and they're of their own. However, this gives you some things to wrap your mind around if you also understand some things like, oh, my personal complexes. What's meant by a complex is a thing that you latch onto to help carve out your identity based on your own experiences and beliefs about them in your life. Our complexes typically are those things that we cannot change about ourselves. They're deep core complexes, and then there are higher complexes. I may get a complex about chewing my nails in scary movies. That complex I can undo completely. Other complexes, like, my original sexual wound that really defines what I think of as the borderline between pleasure and pain in an erotic physical space, I can't really move that. I can alter parts of that personal complex, but that personal complex is the core of my sex, right? And it'll take a lifetime of working against that complex to begin teasing apart where all it came from and what it means, and does it even really benefit me in the end? And what parts of these am I deeply invested in keeping as a part of my identity, and what parts of these can I shed and untell those stories? All of the rape scenarios in my life and manipulation scenarios need to be untold and dismantled, right? Yes, mama. That's why we go to a therapist. So personal complexes are road 28 between Yetzog and Netzach and Yesod, between our own personal imagination and memory and access to the collective unconscious and subconscious and my emotional format, really my makeup as an emotional being, and how it's colored by those instinctive drives that are built in at a DNA level. Make sense? Okay. All right. So that's what this diagram is giving you. Where we are is right here. We're casting right here. So if we think of this tree of life as a step ladder towards holistic, full Gnostic consciousness, in other words, I am not only trying to channel and access my divinity, but I am fully integrated with it. So if I'm coming from a perspective of capital S self, and all of my parts are in agreement and communicating with each other, then I am a mini version of God herself. And this tree of life describes me. This part of me is the most understanding. This part of me is also the three, all of the threes, and all of the cups in tarot. This part of me is also the discerning soul in the 9 soul system that I also teach. This is the Ori of the Emmy. So of the low. So what I describe as Sekhem, not Asekhem. So the discerning soul is lower third eye. Third eye, but lower. Now this description is really from Tantric, the Ayurvedic channel system that connects the chakras. And in this particular chakra system, there's 72 in the body. Now, in that description of this third eye, which we typically think of as intuitive center, there are 2 intuitive centers. One, the lowest of them, is our psychic feed. So if you imagine you turn on psychic TV, click, that's what's playing on psychic TV. And it's made up of a bunch of known stuff. And really, the Hindus have known about and codified this for thousands of years in their work and in their training and practice. We're just catching up as Westerners. So think of it this way. This is how people make the same discovery at the same time across the entire globe, because we're all plugged into the same psychic, like, bandwidth, or no, like, radio station, the same psychic radio station. Humanity is on like this psychic radio station. Let's call it 666 AM. Is that AM or is that FM? It would have to be FM, wouldn't it?
I think it would be FM. Yeah.
It would be FM. Okay. So let's take it. Satan Radio 666. Right. That is the psychic, right? That's psychic TV. You can plug into that, but it's a lot more than that. The lower or discerning soul is really that part of you that you can still interface with. Remember when I talked about how we have a portion of us, the most whole, sound, and perfect part of self, that manages our connection with all higher vibrations, including divinities, right? But it's just like a keyboard in a computer. Yeah, I can send an email to God, but I need a keyboard to type English words because that's how I think. That's what the discerning soul is. So for some context for this, when you are drawn down, when you are possessed, transpossessed, right? There's a part of you that has to translate a bunch of download into English words to tell that person what their God is trying to tell them. This is the job of every priestess and every priest on this planet. Translate the download into language. And that's what this soul does. Understanding, discerning, being able to look. This is the ability that my sissy had with mechanical shit. Tammy could just look at it and say, I think that isn't working right. And she could take the whole fucking thing apart, pull out that little thing. Yeah, it's this transistor. It's burnt out. Go get a new transistor. She doesn't even know what any of this shit does, but bring it back, reassemble, solder it on, and the thing would fucking work.
That's
she could do that with, she could do it with cars. She could do it. She was the person that we all went to and said, can you please fix my fucking car? Because she would just like tinker. Oh, it's this. Pull it out. Do the thing. Put a new. Boom, boom, boom. Bang, bang, bang. Turn it on. Yep, it's running. She didn't go to school.
That's
didn't
amazing.
Use the books. She could just look at it, tinker with it, and figure it out. Oh my God, yeah. And that is the discerning soul. It is the part of us that just has absolute knowing, a certainty that doesn't require thinking or cognizing.
Like a raw talent?
Yeah, but it's cultivatable. You know, you can teach yourself direction sense. It's built in at the factory. Everyone has it. Just like time sense is built in at the factory. And if you cultivate this talent, you will get good at it. So will everyone else. You can teach yourself what direction is west. Always. You can teach yourself how to tell before you even wake up. It's 6 o'clock. Eyes open, look at the watch. Yep, 1 minute till. Out, let's go, do the shower, put on the things. You can teach yourself these things. Just like you can teach yourself lucid dreaming. It's built in at the factory. All you have to do is cultivate it through practice. So it's all of those skill sets are included in the Sekhem, the discerning soul, the Ori of the Emi, right? So direct downloads from our psychic pool, all of humanity, all of the atavisms of humanity, in other words, all of the thought forms that do not manifest, or what is called the Akashic record. It all lives on this layer junk heap of the astral. Junk heap of the astral, right? So we're talking, this is the layer around the earth where all the space junk has settled. You feeling this? Okay. Now, so I want to give you the flip side of that equation too. What does that look like on a shadow side of things? Like if we were to go all like kind of dark with this, we would go with reaping. I'm trying to get it close for you. Oh, God damn it. Here. Can I adjust this specifically? So this is a graphic, also my work. If you share it, please give provenance to me. Can I drag it? Ah, yeah, I can drag it. All right. So now we are in the realm of reaping Saturn. So not just, so think of we're in the realm of Bina, the Divine Mother, think of Saturn as if she were a girl. Oh, mama, this explains so much, doesn't it? When you flip that gender equation, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. And suddenly she is like the gentlest mom trying to kind of usher you into better consciousness, as opposed to being the taskmaster general asshole, right? And the reaper. She's not that.
Yeah,
Right? She's
definitely.
not. Yeah, she's the tough love, but she's still love, and she's still coming at it from that perspective. That's Bina. That is where we are. That's where we're going. Now, she has a very dark sister who is a boy. Reaping Saturn. Yes, I'm talking about Grim Reaper,
That is
mama. Like,
awesome.
yes, that's right. And
I was wondering if that's where you were
Lucifuge.
going with it. That is
That's
so
right.
cool.
And that's her twin. So when she gets into a fight with her sissy, that's who it is. Pow pow. Herself and other half. She's, if you think of it from terms of like a Sagittarius, right? Who are really dual natured, and all of the dual natured signs, right? That each of them have, like, when I focus on my shit, I become the good sister. When I'm really just trying to stuff my shit down and avoid my shit, I become the evil kind of stepsister, right? And so all the dual natured signs have that. Well, Saturn has that too. All the planets really do have their dark sides. And this tree of death is the diagram that I created to cobble together many of these different esoteric ideas about that position on what's called the clipots, or clifots if it's spelled with a PH. These are the shells, shadows, and cast-offs of the actual positive entities, the Sephiro. These are what are called the tunnels of Set. And the clipots are, yes, they all exist inside Dea, which exists inside the abyss, which is the very real and tangible switch that flips, going from human to bodhisattva, bodhisattva to God. Now, what that means, Jackie, is, let's take Kuan Yin, the Lady of Mercy, to about 3/4 of the world's population prayed to this gal. Not kidding. That large a population pray to Kuan Yin in some form or another for mercy, understanding, for wisdom, yes, to carry messages to other gods, goddesses, entities, etc. She is the original Mary Mama, who hears the prayers and answers them. Well, she has an actual human tribal story about her becoming who she is. And she was this gal, and she had a terrible dad, and her dad abused the shit out of her and pretty much killed her. And she refused to die, and instead rode on the back of a tiger, I think it is, into immortality. And from that position started hearing prayers and answering them before she even moved up the whole God like hierarchy, mama. And one of the things that she rose to godhood and decided, that this shit ain't for me. I'm really about interceding, and I want to take that slot. So I'm going to go back down a step and choose, no thanks, not godhood for me. I must stay down here and hear up all these prayers and help out all my sissies, all my sisters, right? That's what a bodhisattva does. They choose to be middlemen. They are Hecate. They are Mercury. They are all of these psychopompuses. Psychopompus is a Greek word that means go between, or one who carries a thing from here to there. It's what all of these liminal entities are that stand in both worlds and communicate directly with us. Right?
It's very close to a demigod.
That's right. Exactly. So I forget what I was talking about, but so we were talking about the reaping Saturn. Yes, and Lucifuge's 703 bestial concealers in the empty brightness. It is the final temptation of the CDs prior to enlightenment. The shells that attach to lies and deception. This is the calcification that happens around deceit within self, the protective coating that we put around lies and deceit to try and keep them alive, even though that CCTV shows that you hit that guy. Sorry, mama. This is an invention of your own brain and heated imagination and consciousness. And yet, somehow, Trump, you believe every word, Trump, that comes out of your fucking mouth, Trump. And you believe it so much, Trump, that you have to force these better, smarter, awesomer people, Trump, with the actual money, Trump, to actually pay Trump to make it happen in the real world, Trump, because it doesn't actually exist, Trump. Here he is. Here's the face. Bestial concealers. What they're concealing is their two-sidedness, their envy, their fear. This is, you know, I said it to the high school kiddos when I talked to them in East High this last week. When you put yourself on the pedestal you deserve for you, everyone below you who has been pushing themselves down by their own self-stories can't fucking tolerate it, and they're gonna chuck stones. It just happens. That's this reaping. So this reaping is when the queen is getting stoned walking down the hallway, the stone hallway, filmed in Dubrovnik, I might add, of Game of Thrones. Remember when they stoned the queen? That
shame.
kind of
shame.
That's this reaping. So you notice that this is in the palace, the first palace. I'm going to show you the whole thing. So let's back up. This is the first palace of hell. The correspondence to freshwater is pH of 5. And the cohabitants are Beelzebub or Ogiel. All of these names, by the way, you can Google or find in the Lesser Key of Solomon. Melek-Tau, Sathamiel, or Taumiel, the grappling twin gods of Moloch and Satan. Hasatan, all double-headedness, which is the very nature of the very core of hell. Our own hell is at its core envious. We don't hope for global peace. We hope for peace for us. We don't hope for an awesome miracle for the entire world to experience joy. We hope for that miracle for us. This is the foundation of feed yourself first. Yes, satisfy Maslow's hierarchy of need prior to rising into the empiric realms of the heavens to also, in an altruistic sense, provide for others. Our feet are forever clay and in the mud, mama, because we are born between two, the angelic spirit and the human spirit. Is this sounding kooky and weird enough yet? Wait till we start talking about the connection. Oh yes, mama. To the Grigori, the tall ones, the guardians of the outer dark, who would destroy our entire civilization. Thank you very much. And that's how that awesome redo of the prequel of Aliens and the architect who tears apart the robot. Remember that when they woke him up? Because of course, our creators would destroy us, mama, rather than see us ascend and excel. Let their plans never come to fruition, ever. And that's why the witch first always exorcises her space. So I'm going to add something to our practice for us to remain safe in our practice. That in some way or another, you are inside a circle when you cast your 3. Okay? Now, you could do that by taking grains of salt and sprinkling them all the way around you on the floor. Mm-hmm. You can do that by casting a circle if you know that tech from some other training. You can do that by sprinkling water all around you that has sat untouched, unbreathed for long enough for the chlorine and all of the other volatile stuff to get out. Maybe 2 days, really. So you put a bowl of water out for long enough for it to taste stale to you.
Why?
And why? Because you want all of these external influences out of the water. You want water to be what it is. And it is, the power of the thing is in its nature, Jackie. The power of the thing is in its nature. Always, always. Look at the nature of the thing. What is the nature of water? It is the universal biological solvent. It reduces all biology to its lowest possible components by exposure to it. It also is used to cleanse all things. All things.
So let's say I had either like my new moon water or my full moon water, because I've never casted a circle before. I don't even know how to even begin the process.
If you make moon water for yourself, awesome. Use your moon water, and all you want to do is sprinkle around you so that when you do your practice, no other influences. No one can talk to you. Do it where people can't bother you or interrupt you. You need to be able to do this in where every element of your space is dictated only by you.
You've never been to any of our spellcasting classes, Jackie?
No.
No? Okay. I apparently have to run those more. I was like, I teach everybody how to cast a circle. Okay, well, that's all right. We'll have to work on that.
That's right. You best get on that.
This class was the very first class I've ever had performing any type of magic, other than me like putting out like the good energy or the bad energy or taking somebody's energy and stuff like that.
Like in our
general amorphous prayer. Yeah.
When we talk about, we do the class on like cleansing your tarot deck. We cast a circle. And then we cleanse our tarot deck, and we do tons of different like exorcism practices to be able to cleanse your deck, especially if it's your first deck, or if it's your first time ever using it, you just bought it from the store.
When I got my oracle deck, the thing that I did was I took my smudging stick and went around it, and that was my cleansing it.
yeah. So please keep in mind what you're doing is what feels natural. That's we would call that very kitchen witch, hedge witch, very green witch, very sort of just natural witch. There are also ritual protocols that can be layered on top of those instincts for those people who don't have that. What do I do? Sage. Grab sage. Do that, right? Because most people don't have that instinct, mama. They just don't. And they don't understand the placement of the tech in their own spiritual practice and growth, which ritualization like this creates a structure that people can follow, integrate these practices into their lives, and make them more wholly a part of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they can build this instinct that you already are exercising. So highly encourage it. It's a good deal.
So is it like a lot of like, because I am a water sign, so for me, I just gravitate towards the water. So is it like I'm pouring water all around me, or is it just like
no, sprinkle, just sprinkle. You can even like do, yeah, that's right. Little, but make it around you. So on, you should be able to look on the floor underneath your feet and see the mist or droplets.
Okay.
Behind you, on both sides, in front. You want to be fully enclosed by the space that you choose to exorcise. And this is the important part. The most important part of this is not just sprinkling your moon water and feeling like, I'm in my nest. The important part is this moon water will exorcise everything. Negative spirits, positive spirits, powerful spirits, divinities, demigods, ghosts, clingy emotions, weird darknesses, roaming, what were called chest pushers. Nothing gets in except what you put in.
Now, here's my other question. And I'm sorry for these questions because this is like a big.
Nope, keep going.
Is it clockwise or counterclockwise?
All right, so there's there are all kind of rules, mama, all kind of rules. This is how I always think of it. If you want to be able to celebrate in a group with others who use circle tech, go from north to east. Never eat shredded wheat. So simple. Start in the north. Never eat shredded wheat.
Okay.
Yep. And just go from station to station. And so start in the north. Yep.
Yeah.
And like, everyone else who uses circle tech, from pagan, Wiccan to really, I mean, Native Americans do the same thing. A bunch of Ifa, they do the same thing. All of these traditions that honor the cardinal points. If they don't start in the north, which most of them do, if they don't, they move in the same direction. So
sometimes they'll start in the east. That's where the sun rises, but they'll go the same way.
But they'll go the same way. So just, this is the easiest. Are there appropriate times when you do not? Yes, mama. And this is where some formal training also is helpful. Understanding that one is a creative or anabolic force, the other is a destructive or catabolic force. So do you want to implode power or explode power? And that will decide which direction you go. Those also can be like amplified by the situation of the moon and its phases. Moving in the counter direction, Widdershins, is always like, you're going to amp up anything you do at new moon.
So when you
dark moon mama. Oh yes. So because the moon is the opposite side of the world from you, right?
Right.
At midnight, right? Whereas full moon, their sun and moon are on opposite sides, right? Moon's going to be right above you. That's great for Jeshel, spelt D-O-cell. It's Welsh, whatever. They came up with the popular word first. Sorry, kiddo. Jeshel. Not Dweezil. No, the only Dweezil they have that there is on the planet is a kid that is not born yet from Frank Zappa. But anyways, so yes, there are appropriate times for yourself for this work. Please just focus on making sure that you sprinkle your moon water in front of, behind, to both sides. The whole purpose is to exorcise. So you can actually whisper and ask to the water, or speak in a natural tone of voice. Water, please do this work. Exorcise my space and me.
And if you want to, Jackie, on the YouTube, for just a very basic beginner's traditional Celtic circle, if you look in the Book of Shadows on YouTube, we have just like classes that we've taught on how to do specific spells, and in there you will see very traditional basic Celtic circles and how to cast those.
Yeah. And you know, here's my philosophy on that. It's like dim sum. Try it all.
I agree.
One of them is going to taste good to you, and you're going to be like, oh, that's got the umami. I don't want the Celtic. I want the Shinto. Yeah, mama, do it. Because frankly, I've seen it. It's fucking gorgeous.
It is. There's so many different ways to cast a circle, and you can just go through so many different practices and see which one really made like you tingle and made your hair stand up, and like it's amazing.
Flood the basement, get all juicy. That's right, mama. Yeah.
So once you've cast the circle and you've asked,
you're gonna
water and everything, do I still go through the same process?
You're casting, whatever your casting is. So your casting of 3, do that casting of 3 inside whatever space you contain. If that means that I'm going to do it on my bed and I'm going to lock my door, and so I sprinkle my bed, and that my bower is my casting area, awesome, mama. Sounds great. If you're going to escape from the family and lock the bathroom door because it's the only place that you get to be you alone, awesome. Take your moon water into the bathroom with you. Do it in the bathtub or wherever, right? So you're going to cast your sigil of 3 inside an already exorcised space. The reason why I want that is we're really starting to get to pre and proto-human consciousness. If you notice, this diagram really covers it for us, right? That on the lower levels, or higher levels, really, of consciousness, we're looking at subconscious. This is all of humanity's subconscious, which we plug into because we're dealing with the discerning mind. Right? Awesome. So we're plugging into all atavisms, all collectivized consciousness. Here it is, right? And on the dark side, we see corrupt action, insecure action, pretentious action, contemptuous action, cowardly action, and finally we get to the true center, vain action. All things driven by envy. The first palace of man's I want to hide this is of infraconscious action. So this is no longer that my personality is interacting with stuff. No, mama, this is built in at the factory. This is the greed of every brand new baby to eat. It isn't moral. There's nothing moral about it. You give a hungry baby a piece of food, what's the baby gonna do? Voraciously eat. Period. That is this level of work. And we're dealing very specifically with breaking down those shells that distract us from our truer, like light side of the discerning soul, Bina, the awesome mom, Saturn. Right? And we're doing that in a very specific tech. The tech is mom is our muse. What we're trying to manifest in the world is our lover. We are the mom, dad, baby self who has to make that happen. It has to flow through us into the world. And because we're dealing with really like primordial and nuclear elements of sort of human-based consciousness and psychic awareness at the same time, we need to make sure it's a clean space. I don't want you getting yourself into trouble with a bunch of horse shit that because so and so is like pissed off at you and you're picking that up, and so is envious because you got the last piece of fucking cheese, and so they're pissed off, and you you cut off on the freeway and they're sending darts, and all this noise needs to be cut out and removed from your casting.
So each time I do a casting, I do the water circle.
Yeah.
Or the salt circle.
And it could be as quick as that, right? But you must go into that space knowing the space is mine and all elements of the space are of my choice and choosing. And the only elements I choose are this work, my casting of 3. Make sense?
Yeah, I think what is starting to confuse me a little bit is when you went to that other map. I'm going to call it a map just because that's
sure.
how I see it.
So are we looking at the tree of death or the tree of life?
Yeah, the tree of the
this
death
one. So keep in mind, this is every occult explorer speaks in code. All I'm doing is trying to say that your best understanding and loving nature who wants to teach you lessons has a dark sister. And this dark sister wants to, out of envy, just tear you off your big fat pedestal, mama.
So it's like the yin and the yang.
Yes.
Okay.
If that's how you want to think of it, we're looking at this muse who's whispering in our ear, the go-between, the discerning soul, the place where we get downloads and we're able to translate them into the world, right? This connection to all things higher and above us, this mother, this mom Saturn, hard mom, she has a hard side. And this is the hard side. This is where the buck stops. This is the feet in the mud and the hands in heaven. This is the feet in the mud.
So the tree of light would be the one, okay, here's the extra scoop of ice cream. The tree of death would be, here's the hanger, let me beat you with it.
But the funny part is the hanger itself is an illusion.
Okay.
These are cast off dead shells. These aren't living entities. The demons that have found their way into mastery of these shells, cliff offs, and tunnels, right? So think of it as, did you ever see Nightmare on Elm Street?
Yeah, I was terrified of them.
Yeah. When they're walking around in the pipes, all of these roads are those pipes. And he's just one of the demons in hell. There's a bunch more. Lucifuge is one of them. And that is that dark flip side of the coin of the beautiful Saturn mother. They're one and the same person. It's our perspective that shifts how we perceive them. This is the moment. Did you ever see the movie Hellraiser?
Yeah, I was scared of that one.
You remember when she asked, "Who are you?" And he said, "We are the Sybarites, demons to some, angels to others. We are the explorers of the outer edges of experience." That's exactly what a Qliphoth is. The outer edge of experience of Saturnian energy at its most dangerous and unstable and destructive is on the tree of death, and it exists only as a cosmic reaction to the lack of Bina understanding. The solution is fill it with understanding.
So on this map that we're looking at, how you have the 3 and then the 1 and the 2, would that darker side be in between the 13 and the 14, 11 and 12.
It lives, see this dotted circle?
Uh-huh.
It lives in there.
So it's like I'm going backwards.
The whole map lives in the fallen, vacated space of the tree of life. So if we look at, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. If we look out at this from a zoom, you see Tiferet used to reside where Daoth is. And Yesod used to live where Tiferet was, and Malkuth used to live where Yesod lives. But at the fall, casting out of Adam and Eve from Eden, in other words, the fracturing of unitary consciousness on a human scale, forgetting that we're divine, all of these parts of self fell.
You know how we're always talking about in chat where I always answer everybody's question when they have these like really deep questions. And I talk about how all things are just perspective and perception. Yeah. There is no necessarily all good, loving mother. There is not necessarily all bad, evil, that everything is just human perception and a projection of our own mind. And that there is not necessarily a good and a bad. It's all just your mind and your perception. That is a lot of what we're analyzing, that these things have two sides of the same coin, that there is no necessarily all good or all bad. It is all just human in the way that you perceive the world and the universe, and also the other universes and the other worlds, and what your own human perception and your own divine perception does to those worlds and how it perceives them.
So it's like last night when we were talking about sacred and wounded witches.
Yes.
How, because like for me, I'm kind of both.
Good.
I can be sacred and I can be wounded, but I try to meet in the middle, if that makes sense.
Right. And think of it this way. The meeting in the middle is, see this larger gray dotted line? That's the abyss.
Okay. And I don't want
to. But no, that's not what I'm saying.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that in between, the fact that you stand in between two worlds, right? Between the wounded, in other words, this tree of life. If you were on the divine, Tifereth would be one node up. Yesod would be one node up, and Malkuth would be one node up. In other words, you would not only be in perfect and continuous contact with your own higher nature, but you would be a physical representation on this plane of your own higher nature and God.
Okay.
People who walk in the world like that, and they are, you know, Amma is a real woman, and she really does run amma.org, and she really does have students. As a matter of fact, one of my bosses in corporate America is an Amma devotee and does security for Amma when she's in the United States and visits always the same place, the same hotel, because of course they know security for that hotel and they could do it. And she gives darshan there, which is divine infusion of life force. It's a granting of the gift of Ankh for the ancient Egyptians. She does it through hugging. She's called the hugging saint. And she has hugged millions of people in her life. She's only in her 70s, mama. Do the math. When she does a darshan, she hugs tens of thousands of people.
That's a lot of energy transfer.
Uh-huh. She is a living representation on earth of Bina. It's amazing. From a witch perspective, it was amazing, girl. You would, she came in, she decided to eschew the water ritual. She let one of her devotees do it. She just wasn't in that place, right? And she didn't want to do the little song and dance bullshit where you have to do the whole, it's like a fivefold kiss, right? But it's an invocation process. She just wanted to get to it, right? She was like, Mama is knocking at the door. I'm not, fuck ritual. We're going straight in, right? So she walked straight past all of the accoutrement of those two rituals, which would have taken up 2.5 hours of her time. She wanted to get into it. Mama was knocking at the door. So she got up there, got on her seat. Boom. You could feel Bina unrolling off of her body in a cloud that filled the entire auditorium of this hotel. Like a cloud. When the wave front of Bina consciousness hit you, it was like, wow. Wow. And you felt it not only on a physical plane, but an astral as well. It was amazing. If you ever get a chance to go and get darshan from Amma, do it. And the awesomest part, when I finally got up to her after 11.5 hours in queue.
Just to get a hug from a person?
You get 13 seconds max. 13 seconds.
I'm sorry.
Seconds. 13 seconds max of a hug from this woman. She called me in her native tongue, sister.
Aww.
I know. I cried when I found out. I was like, oh. And to add all of it together, sleep depth. Heat exhaustion from dancing and singing in this stupid fucking hotel, breathing up every kind of fucking incense, and the group conscious mind plus Bina, and this. It was so fucking overwhelming. Oh my God. Thank God when I finally got back to my friend's place and was able to sleep and integrate all of that. It was insane. But okay, so the fall created this, you can't, something is displaced when you dig a hole. When unitary consciousness is fractured, it creates a hole. This hole is where this map lives. But it lives in all of us individually, and it moves inward, not outward. The only place where we can get group and beyond group, tribe, human, eternal consciousness, in other words, further shells out from self, is this direction, up. However, you want to travel in, there's a whole map, and the demons and entities inside are very well known through any number of texts. I don't even like the Egyptian Book of the Dead because their insides, do not match my worldview. These, in many ways, also still don't. When you look at the actual, these are all of your goetic demons down at the bottom and their position on the tree of life. There's also the 7 deadlies and their position where they reside. I put them there as a reference for you so you have a larger frame to kind of build an understanding of what you're looking at when you look at the tree of life and its dark side, the cliphotic tunnels and the shells of Set. So these are not what I want you to focus on. What I really want you to focus on is the work that this man put into the world, Michael Kelly. Now, I am going to put a caveat on this. And you are, we are beyond cancel culture. We are beyond consent culture. We are beyond Me Too. we are at a place now where we have already, as a tribe of humans, consumed and made a place for, and a proper place for, all of those three major shifts in what formerly would be considered generational consciousnesses. We've broached to them, we've broken through them, we've gotten to the other side. We're beginning to now deal with some of the damage that really was overlooked by former generations, and correct that in how we treat kids and the most vulnerable, the aged in our culture. Hopefully, we can continue to find ways to support the infrastructure required to let people live in a way that is dignified for our new burgeoning consciousness. And we don't just hand off all power to choose to assholes who are Republican and don't care because they can afford whatever the fuck they want anyway, right? So hopefully we all learn the lessons and are able to find ways to meaningfully implement infrastructure to let us live that. Now, this book was written before that, before all of those. No, Mama Kevin Kline exploding about the casting couch exploding, the grabbing the pussy, grabbed by the pussy. None of that had happened yet. And Michael Kelly has a very colorful past, where as a original Church of Satan Xandor LaVey student and magical practitioner, he went down many very dark roads. Okay. However, this particular work is an attempt by Michael Kelly to, just like a skin graft or bone graft, take the essential elements of OTO style scientific Satanism and graft it onto the tribal elements of Celtic neo-pagan worship. Okay, so that means calling a circle, doing spell work, having regular divinities that you work with, not using standard Satanist OTO garb and jargon and bullshit and trappings, and it's not just all like demonic self-possession. Thank God. No, it's actually taking some of the underpinnings of this neo-pagan tribal Celtic worship system and kind of grafting it on. So he, of course, used Freyr for the beloved and self, and then he postulates a third for the muse. And so he's kind of working in sort of in those directions. You can read the book for general context about what we are going to be doing. One line of your 3 lines is going to represent self. One line in your 3 lines is going to represent your muse. And one line is going to represent your beloved. What am I? What am I manifesting? And what higher entity am I manifesting it on behalf of and in cooperation with, from a perspective of self-consent, self-gnosis, and in a spirit of self-exploration? This can be either as a question. In other words, think of it this way, Jackie. You can either ask the universe to answer, who am I right now? What the fuck am I manifesting in the universe? And what entity is it that I'm manifesting it on behalf of? Or you can define that yourself as, the beloved is truly this state of selfhood that I want to manifest in the future. And this muse says that I am beautiful and worthy of being all those things. Saturn, mom. And there is the manifested thing, which frankly, I'm greasing my palm to make happen and loving at the same time. That self-reinforcing loop of an erotic space. And I want to fill it, frankly, with some changes for my, and I'm going to spill the tea on my side. You know, I had a recent run-in with the reaping Saturn, death himself, his face, showed up, knocked on the door, said, "Oh, remember me?" With my awesome hospital visit in Swedish. And realizing the tremendous fragility involved in being human. So right now, having met the measuring stick of my existence, beginning to end, I'm like, okay, at 50, 56 technically, I'm doing okay. Where are the next 10 going to take me? Where are the next 15 going to take me? If I die tomorrow, if I die right now or today, what do I want to make sure I have done in my life to be right with that? So I got that is my muse. And she's Anna. You know Anna. I introduced you to Anna and Arlie, right? Yep. So Anna is like Latissima Muerta, right? The gentle, beautiful death. She's mom. But she's the last mom. She's the mom to give you a bath, scrub behind your ears, put you in your jammies, and put you to bed forever. That mom, right? So she is Neil Gaiman's death. That smile at the end. She's all last contact, last love, right? Last embrace and last issues of this as it dissolves in water, the universal biological. Yes, solve it, Mama. That's right. So if you fall to the bottom of the ocean, what's it going to do? Tear you to pieces. And she is the salt in that water. So Anna is my muse right now. Right. What I want to manifest is my beloved for my next 10, 15 years, pre-retirement. And the my beloved. And then there's me right now on this awesome position where I actually can see who just knocked on my door. Okay. So that's spilling the tea about me. And hopefully that gives you help and context to create your 3 lines, which is what we're going to jump into now.
Marceline, stop. Sorry. Stop.
Kitty cat.
Yeah, just this whole time. She's very interested in your class.
Well, I'm so glad. You never know. Her casting of 3 might be remarkable.
Right?
Yeah, all those mice. Okay.
Stop.
Don't. Ooh. Yes.
Come on.
So I have a question. Getting back to this circle business.
Circle business.
Circle business.
How about some context?
I love it.
To creating the circle to
Oh, yeah. Okay, yes.
so I'm not I try to see everything in a positive fashion, as you know, Alex. I don't like, okay. I know that the world's not always black and white. You know, I know that there's a fine little gray line there.
This is something that I think that we really have to work on.
Yeah, it is, because I'm trying to be that beacon of like light all the time. And I know I can't always be.
Nope.
Because I know honestly myself, I'm not a beacon of light. I can be just a mean ass when I want to be.
I think realizing that a beacon of light is not always a symbol of all that is moral in the world, right. And that morality is just perception and human construct, and right. Working on that in a more magical and working on that within your magical practice, what does morality mean to you, and how is it changed and warped by your perception of reality?
Yeah, totally.
I think a lot of it has to do with so much of always being told you're negative, you're negative, you're negative, you're negative, you're negative. Why don't you try being positive for some time? And so I've taken it to the extreme now where I'm just, okay, I'm trying to be positive, trying to be positive, trying to be positive, but then yet the same factor, it kind of turns into a negative sometimes in that situational way. So when I'm casting my circle, obviously nothing can get in and harm me, I guess, if saying it correctly. Am I wrong in that?
No, sorry.
Okay.
I responding to this sigil, which is
Do you love it? I'm so obsessed. I love it so
wow.
much.
It is insane.
Thank
It is
you.
absolutely amazing and kind of mind-blowing and dynamite. It's really beautiful. So if you take a look in the chat, Jackie, and you'll see the link to Alex's sigil of 3, which is like
Thank you so much.
me. It's absolutely dynamite beautiful. And is gorgeous and very much, and the funny thing is it's very much in the spirit and vein of this work of 3 as well. You managed to like eke a trident and moon phases in there and all the rest of this. Girl,
thank you.
yeah,
I'm
fabulous.
still trying to open it up here.
Yeah, it's quite beautiful. And then before we get too further into circle tech talk.
Okay, it won't let me open it.
This is the really self, right? Which comes back to self as an egg of possibility between this manifest lover. I want to manifest this lover and have it be in alignment with my muse line.
Oh, wow. That is beautiful.
Yeah. So in the arc of my life, I want to bring these two different directions, different styles, different everything. I want to bring that manifestation in alignment with this muse. And that muse is really meaningful and decent retirement, by the way.
Nice.
In the next 15 years. Yes, that's right. So that's what I'm working on. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
So it won't let me open up your page, Alex.
It won't?
No, it could be my computer. Remember I was telling you I was having issues with it, like not wanting to let me do
Yeah.
Well, here. Right.
Oh, we could do what we can do. Actually, what I'm gonna do this. Ha 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 ha, and a couple of hoody hoes. And so I have that copied and I should be able to. Oh no, but I can save it and then drop it into the chat.
Awesome. I was going to say, too, you can just pull it up and share screens if you wanted to.
I could, but I thought of this. I wanted to try and do it, and it didn't
awesome.
work.
No, that's perfect.
And it didn't work. It was like, fuck you, Shantat. Are stupid, and why would you ever think that I would ever do that for you? You dumbass. Oh my God. Mama. So yes, I'm going right now to the share screen and we're going to choose this application and share that. So this is Alex's.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That's what I was responding to during the Circle Tech talk. So
That's
sorry,
amazing.
kiddo. Yeah, you
Thank
just totally misinterpreted what was going on. It was me responding to this and going, oh, gobsmacked. So that was the
Thank you
deal.
so much. I'm really happy about this one. This one really.
Yeah, you can feel this. I'm happy about mine too. So don't get me wrong. I think it is. I am so ready for 3 and getting out of this 4 zone. I
Me
need movement.
too.
Yeah.
I am so ready to be out of the 4 zone. The 4 zone was not working with me. I was just not.
Yeah, that's right.
Me and 4. No.
So I did want to. So you two already understand the dialogue that's happening for you two related to Circle Tech. So
I will
Jackie,
go over Circle Tech with Jackie.
okay,
I
awesome.
can totally cover that with Jackie.
Yeah,
I
it
didn't
really
even
needs
realize
to
we
be as
haven't
simple
yet,
as possible.
honestly, and I feel like that is something that is very basic. So we probably, before you do anything else, you should have an understanding of Circle Tech. I didn't know that you didn't. So
I don't have an understanding of a lot of things.
oh, that's okay. That's why you're here. That is totally cool.
I mean, and plus, I still have one more day to do my 4, so it actually works its way out. But I did draw my 3, and
I want to see.
Yeah, let me see.
So I'm a little nervous about it, but just because of the simple fact, I understand the concept, but trying to take the good and the bad and kind of join them into one to make it into the best, that's where I'm struggling with. So 3 might not be my friend either. But that's.
Ooh, cool.
No, that's really beautiful.
That's awesome.
It's really lovely. And it almost looks like a warrior stance or something. It's dynamite. It's really lifting. It's beautiful.
I mean, and I think because since I've started, I've kept the same goal in mind when I do the manifestation. Like when I am asked, okay, hey, I would like this to happen. I would like this to happen. Basically, I've been asking, by the end of the year to be able to have more of a simpleness and trust in my gift.
Oh, good. Yeah. And this is awesome because you can approach it from every possible facet.
Right. And so it's been helping me until I got to 5, and then it's just like, screw you, it's not happening. But when I got into 4, it's just like it lit up for me again. Now it's like I have to bring the positive and the negative into it. And that's where I'm kind of
that was probably where you were having kind of an issue with 5 as well. And why 5 is so much fun for me is because I think because of the people that I learned from. Certain people learn from mentors who focus on love and light. Certain people learn from mentors who don't. I learned from mentors who don't. And so I think that learning from that aspect where it's fun, love and light is beautiful, and that's awesome, and it's amazing, but love and light is it's really hard to get past love and light and to realize how much more there is and how much the word love and light really means.
Yeah. And so Jackie, think of it this way. In the negative map that I showed you, that it said that this particular node is a type of light that is seductive and false. It is. And that is that light. That the last temptation prior to enlightenment is how I put it. So imagine, if you will, that you would have absolute understanding of humanity, but no compassion.
See, and that's hard for me just because of my sign being a Cancer.
But if you were in that place, you have absolute understanding, zero compassion, you'd be the biggest serial killer on the planet, mama. You'd be a mass murderer. You'd be like, nuke them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, you sure would. And you would be rightfully so, and absolutely correct. It is balanced by the compassion of the mother. So don't think of it as two. Think of it as this is the same mother. One is pissed off and gonna kill you, right? But the next minute, she's teaching you how to like sew and do your hair. It's the same mother,
Okay.
just two moods of that mother.
See, that I can get.
Yes.
So
it
that makes a little bit more sense to me, because it's like, okay, my kid's done something wrong, let me beat him upside the head, but yet I'm still gonna give him that
of
love and
course.
support.
That's right. Of
Because,
course. Because
okay,
you still
see,
love your son. That's
that
right.
makes more sense to me. Okay.
That's
And
right.
thinking
like-
about
So-
how, like, to be a good friend or to be a good, because, like, you know,
Yeah.
the mother aspect too is so much more, and to just being human. And when you are human, you know, yes, you have the compassion and the empathy and the love and the kindness and the support, but that you also have boundary setting, and you also have the fact that you need the fierceness, and you need the ability to set boundaries.
Right.
See,
That's right.
that
And to
makes a little
defend
bit
them.
more sense to me, because it's like, okay, I'm looking at it from that standpoint. Okay, I gotta have this and this and this. When in actuality, it's actually one. It's like
No, it really, all we're working with is your muse, your beloved, and yourself.
right.
That's it. So your three lines are those. That's all they need to be. The perspective of the tree of life is what I wanted to jump onto, to only plus value that work. Plus value that work. That's it.
Okay.
So all I'm adding is a layer of depth and resonance and some esoterica that really is in alignment with the vibration of a working fourth three.
Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, where Alex, where you were learning from the darker side, I've never really learned
The dark side. I learned from the dark side.
I would love to learn the dark side, but I've never really I never really had anybody to, I guess,
shine a light into the darkness.
Yeah, because I mean,
illuminate that object.
If I didn't read it from a book,
explore the occult.
Yeah. I think too that because of because I learned when I was a little kid, I didn't already have
that bifurcated fear.
I didn't
and
have
the assignments. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so, all the landfill shit of the boomers didn't hit you. Thank God.
Exactly. And I had people who were teaching me, and I didn't have this big thing over my head. Well, what is good magic and what is bad magic? I just had like what is magic. Fun. And like what's magic and what's fun, and this is really exciting and cool. And so exploring the dark sides of yourself it's fun.
And you got to run around and hobnob with some of the culture creators in Colorado for its neo-pagan and witchcraft using communities. And lucky kid, yay! Because many of those core groups no longer exist. They've either disbanded, or they're doing other work, or they've gone underground. So it's fabulous that you had that when all of us were still out there really waving a flag and a banner because we could. And we were making our own platforms. And those platforms were really local. So
until I came to the school, I didn't have I wasn't able to come out the closet of the witches.
Right.
So that's why I asked so many questions, because I don't know what the proper is.
There's this weird idea, and I don't remember this being a thing before, but it could have just been because I didn't care. But there's this big thing now with this idea of only practicing love and light and only being good and never experiencing or practicing anything that could be immoral. And that's just not magic. That's just not how it works.
Well, that's not how the world is organized.
Exactly.
Period.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that because our society is so scared of everything, that we have to sugarcoat everything. And I don't think
that's it, Jackie. Here's what I think it is. I think it's deliberately ripping the all vital components out of witchcraft so that it doesn't appear to be a dangerous pursuit to the overculture. And there are quite a few people who are talking about this, by the way, at the moment. Including, Scarlet Imprint is really forging ahead with trying to put out things like apocalyptic witchcraft, et cetera, where really this paean, this war cry, is going out to magic practitioners saying, when are we going to have enough of palliating ourselves to be tasteful to the rest of overculture, when frankly they want to string us up and chuck us off 10-story buildings? No, mama, it's time that none of that happens anymore. And we proudly, defend at all costs which we may have to if this country goes fascist, our ability and right that we have earned, thank you very much, standing on the backs of our forebears, the right and responsibility to practice.
Yes, I completely agree.
And you fucking terrified, brittle, white, entitled fuckhead, 30s-ish, white male, shocker, need to just accept the fact that, your isms are all dying. And these are the last death throes of that worldview. And it is so brittle, it'll defend itself at all costs. Fascism.
I completely agree. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. No, so I agree. And
tell your friends the ripping the horror out of witchcraft and presenting it as love and light. No, that's what it is, mama.
It is.
It
and
is
it's really annoying. Yep. It's really frustrating. Right. Yeah. And trying to explain it to people is so annoying for me because it was so this wasn't a thing when I was a kid.
Yeah, because how can love and light ever be a threat? But here's the T. The war to end all wars has one name. Love. And it is the war to end all wars, and that war is now upon us.
It is. That it is.
Yeah. So it is 9:38. The girl is already like, can I go?
Aw.
I know. So I think I stopped recording, or have I? Nope. There we go.
We continue.